My guest today has installed aquariums for some of the biggest stars in the world and needs your help on a new big build. Let's go. What's up, coral people? If you're new here, my name is Remy, and this is the Bahama Llama Coral YouTube channel. We're really close to 14,000 subscribers here on the channel. A little behind schedule this year, but that's my fault because I haven't been uploading as much lately. Reason why, coming soon. And if you could, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you know whenever I upload new videos. Right off the bat, want to get this out of the way, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to be speaking at the ReefWorks Expo in Seattle this weekend. So if you're in the Pac Northwest and in the area, make sure to stop by. I'll leave all the information on the ReefWorks Expo down in the description below. If you're a big fan of Coralfish 12G, George Mavrakis is going to be out there as well. And a huge thanks to Fritz for sending me along. They're a big sponsor of the ReefWorks Expo. I think they might even be putting it on or have a huge hand in that. But I'm super excited to be a part of that this year. So thank you to Sean and to Fritz and to George for asking me again to speak. On another note, a lot of people have been asking why the decrease in videos. I'll be honest, things have been crazy lately as things start opening up. We start having to do concerts. I work in radio, for those that don't know, so we are littered with concerts throughout the rest of the year, and that takes up a lot of time. But I'm not getting out of the hobby. I'm not losing interest in the hobby. I'm actually getting ready to go into the hobby even bigger than I ever have before, and it's a little nerve-wracking, but it's fun and exciting to think about, so I'll let you know more when I can say more. Today I wanted to do something a bit different. I wanted to have a guest on that I've wanted to talk to for years. Nic Tiemens, the co-founder of Infinity Aquarium Design, is a legend in the high-end luxury aquarium market. He's built, installed, or maintained fish tanks and coral reef tanks and freshwater tanks for some of the biggest names in the world. I don't want to spoil whose tanks he's built and maintained and done yet. We'll talk about that in our interview. It's going to be a longer video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Maybe do some tank maintenance in the background, but please enjoy this awesome conversation that I had with Nic. Let's go. Nic, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Remy. Good to see you.
How's the weather in LA?
Sunny and probably 80 to 85 today with not a cloud in the sky. It's been that way all week, so.
Always predictable weather, which is nice.
Yeah, it's hard to complain about California weather.
Yeah, we're going through the 105 degrees one day and 71 the next.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how the Midwest goes.
I remember those days.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate you being on with me. I know you're a super busy guy. You guys have tons of work and tons of stuff that you're always doing out in LA. But just for reference and to get a context, can you kind of let us know where you grew up, how you grew up, and then kind of your foyer into the hobby?
Totally, yeah. I'm a Midwestern boy at heart. I was born in Iowa and spent my childhood in Sioux Falls, South Dakota until I was about 12 years old, and I moved to Chicago. I lived in Chicago until I was in my 20s and then obviously came out to Los Angeles. But I started in the hobby at a very early age. I vividly remember my first goldfish bowl. I was 4 years old and had always just been fond of the aquarium section at local pet stores. And as I'm sure we all have, we just gravitate towards those tanks and study each tank and learn the species and just become enamored at a young age with fish. So at 4, I started with simple freshwater fish, and by the time I was in grade school, I had upgraded to probably like a 20-gallon freshwater tank with an under gravel filter and had assorted tetras and community fish. And then got the saltwater bug when I was in high school, and throughout high school had just a community marine tank with a yellow tang and a royal grama and a clownfish. And at that same time, just being locked into the Midwest, became enamored with the ocean and always wanted to discover the world underwater. So as I got older, my fondness for that ecosystem grew and grew and grew, and it just perpetuated my interest in the hobby. And eventually I got an opportunity to do it professionally, and that's when it just exploded into basically a lifetime passion.
you mentioned being landlocked in the Midwest and not getting a chance to grow up by the ocean. And I think a lot of people that grow up by the ocean kind of take that for granted, because I feel that same kind of deep connection whenever I'm on one of the coasts and I'm just like on the beach. And, often, my friends from the East Coast or West Coast would be like, what do? You just sit there and you just look at the ocean? I'm like, yeah, there's like so much stuff underneath that water that nobody knows about, which is the craziest part.
I think a lot of aquarium people have that in common. I can go to the beach, any beach, especially if we're talking, tropical waters, and stay there all day and just, wade around in the water, snorkel on the surface. I just love it. And I truly want to spend a portion of my life, at the water in some respect. So we'll see what happens.
Sure. So while you were in Chicago, did you have any local fish stores that you were always at? Any connection to that still to this day?
Yeah, absolutely. There were two that I loved when I was in my teenage years. One was a place called Seashell Pet Shop, which I would go to just to look at the fish. I mean, it's amazing how true fish people just have these same experiences where we find a pet store we go to just to hang out there. And Seashell Pet Shop was one, and then another one was called Old Orchard Aquarium, where they just had beautiful display tanks. And I hadn't got into reef keeping yet at that age, so I remember being enamored by all the reef aquariums and wondering how these worked and how these corals from all over the world could do so well in this box. And again, it just inspired me to get the opportunity going so that I could learn and do this, on a bigger scale.
So you kind of mentioned a little bit with how you got into the aquarium industry on from an industry standpoint. So what was your first professional job, and can you kind of describe what you did there and then how you branched off on your own?
Yeah, so I've told this story a million times because for me personally, it's just one of the best stories of my life. It gave me a path in life, and I never take it for granted. I was going to college in Chicago and trying to figure out where I fit in career-wise, what I was going to do. I thought about going into the medical world. I thought about going into some sort of documentary filmmaking world. I just was very unsure where I belonged, but I knew that I loved creativity and I knew that I loved business. So one summer day in Chicago, I was flipping through the classified ads and I saw a posting for aquarium maintenance technician wanted, and I think it was a $6 an hour job. This was back in like 2002 or 2001. And I thought that's the perfect job for me because my bills were minimal. I didn't need a lot of money. I was going to college. All I wanted to do was have a fun summer job. So I didn't have the experience that they required. They wanted someone who had had 5 years of professional experience either in an aquarium store or as an aquarist cleaning aquariums. And my experience was limited to being a hobbyist. I had had a couple of saltwater tanks and multiple freshwater tanks, and I understood the science, but only from the knowledge I had based on other people's feedback. I was never really given coaching or tutorials. So I charmed my way into that job. I really worked hard to get the people who were hiring there to give me a shot. I think they could tell I was really dedicated towards learning about the aquarium science and also just about the job in general. So I got the job. I was 22 years old, and the first installation I was a part of as a trainee was for Michael Jordan's house. And as a kid growing up in Chicago in the 90s, Michael Jordan was my idol. I mean, he was the hero of Chicago and the hero of the NBA. Everybody in the world knew who he was. So to be able to go into his private home and meet him and meet his family at the time, and obviously build two big, beautiful aquariums. He had two 350-gallon bow front saltwater aquariums that were kind of back to back in a breakfast nook / living space. It was wild. I mean, I had never known celebrities before that, and to get to know Michael Jordan on a personal level was kind of life-changing, because it gave me this idea that this job could potentially turn into a career if we could get the right people to see a high caliber of work. So at that moment, I decided I wanted to learn everything I could, literally everything I could about marine species, aquarium science, plumbing, chemistry, physics, the nitrification cycle and all the systems that go along with aquariums. And I soaked everything up like a sponge, and then eventually started to get the bug that I wanted to do this on my own and put my own little twist on the creativity of business. And that obviously led me to where I'm at today.
So was there ever a time where you weren't doing luxury homes? Because that seems to be the main business model now is luxury. But was there ever a time when you were doing 60-gallon BioCubes?
Without a doubt. I mean, that's where we started. I have a business partner named Joe who is all over our website and social media as well. And Joe was actually my boss back in Chicago. He was the guy who kind of convinced the owner to hire me because he saw potential in me. And he took me under his wing and taught me everything he knows. So it worked for us in the future because we work so well together, because we have the same ideology when it comes to how we should set up aquariums. But of course, we started slow. When we were maybe making $100 a week. The first year we were running our business, and we tried our best to get every pediatrician, every dentist, every preschool to give us a chance to sell them a 60-gallon freshwater tank. And it wasn't about making the money. It was really just about proving that, we could do it, and you have to start somewhere. If you don't have any pedigree or any resume, you can't go build a $250,000 aquarium. So we had to start somewhere like everybody else. And probably for the first 10 years, maybe 8 years, we were just pounding the pavement and taking any job we could find and building any size aquarium, no matter how simplified or basic, it was. And that just gave us opportunities to meet people who wanted to take one step, further. And that's what we did. And eventually we started getting to the point where we were known as the two guys who could deliver these really high-end luxury aquariums without any bumps in the road. Because if you don't know what you're doing at that scale, things can go really wrong really fast, and that usually means a very expensive mistake. So we've been able to get to the point where we show consistency in our work and have proven that we can deliver these high-end products right the first time.
So I think I drew a lot of interest in your story and just kind of learning about how you've grown up in the hobby and in the business and everything, and now you guys are posting just these crazy luxury homes in California and some of the tanks that you not only install but maintain along the way. What is it about? Is there something unique about the personality of someone that owns a home like that, or has the amount of money that those types of people have? I think you guys just did a $40+ million mansion. Is in my mind, not having that kind of money, I'm like, well, they just are putting an aquarium in a home to put an aquarium in the home. But do they actually take an interest in the fish or the aquatic life that is in those tanks?
100%. And one thing I've said to a lot of people, one of the great things about what we do is we meet all people from all walks of life. Obviously, we meet people with incredible wealth. And being in LA, you get used to it. I mean, we see every sort of exotic car every day. I mean, they're all you get desensitized to the wealth. It's just because of how LA is. However, so the one thing I always tell people is that no matter if we're working with a professional athlete or an A-list celebrity or a CEO or some physician that's renowned, it doesn't matter that we know nothing about their world. The fact that we have this commonality of a love for aquariums lets us really bond with our clients and have those conversations where we can educate them, we can teach them something, and they can learn something from us. And it's really fun. I mean, we meet a lot of really interesting people and a lot of accomplished people, which is really inspiring as a business owner. And the foundation behind that whole relationship is the fact that they want a fish tank and we can provide that to them. So yeah, we meet a lot of crazy cool people, and the fact that we just have that, a lot of times it's a childhood passion, a love of aquariums, and it brings us all the way to our adulthood. We can have conversations for hours about that one thing, and it really develops a bond between us and our clients, no matter who they are.
So some of those clients include like Dan Bilzerian, Jake Paul. I think one of my favorite tanks that you guys have ever done, and what's interesting is the connection that I first made was like, oh, that's Infinity Aquariums? And I saw you on the Yes Theory, you're doing the Yes Theory house, and I was like, okay, that's got to be, meeting those guys has to be probably one of the coolest experiences. I mean, given that your first one was Michael Jordan, probably pretty hard to top that. But the Yes Theory guys, I just love their channel. I love what they're about. And to kind of be in the presence of people that kind of live that lifestyle. I mean, you also have to, aside from aquariums, absorb some of that stuff too, right?
Oh, they're so, gosh, what's the word? Their energy is just transferable. And they are exactly who you see on their YouTube channel. I was just there on Monday, and I saw Thomas and Amar, and you know, that was such a great project because it started out as a mission on our end. We wanted to do a project that promoted sustainability, because one of the things we believe in is sustainability. We believe our industry can be more sustainable. It's getting there, but it's a slow process, and I think ultimately, we're going to have to make some huge commitments as an industry and make some changes. But we wanted to start that conversation and just show that we can do aquariums that are relatively fully sustainable, where nothing's pulled out of the wild and the animals are cared for in a way where it doesn't damage their natural ecosystem. So we wanted to reach out to somebody who had a platform that could help us showcase that project. And we thought Yes Theory was a great match, because they spread messages of positivity, and they encourage people to go after what they believe in. And we pitched it to them, and they were very receptive. And then after the aftermath of all that is just getting to know them on a personal level, and they're great. I mean, they mean a lot to me because they're genuine guys, and their friendship is great. And we just love the fact that we can pop in there at any time and say hey and hang out, and they love their fish tank, and we love their YouTube channel, and they're continuing obviously to do amazing things on the platform. So it's great to have that little relationship in our pocket.
Now, say that Amar comes up to you one day and asks you if you want to seek discomfort that day and jump out of a helicopter. Are you doing it?
It's funny you mention that, because Amar's a big skydiver, and we were a couple years ago, he was going skydiving for his 25th birthday, and I said to him, I go, I've thought about doing that. If you ever want to skydive, buddy, let me know. And he was like, oh, perfect, I'll totally let you know. We'll go sometime. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that as much anymore. When I was in my 20s, I thought about it all the time, but I'm in my 40s now, and I take things a little more even keel these days. So we'll see. If he asks, I'll have to make a game time decision.
So another one of the tanks that you guys always post on your Instagram is the one where you're walking up to what I'm assuming is the front door, maybe a courtyard, and there's it's like a koi fish pond.
Oh yeah.
You can walk on the pads to get to the home, and there's koi fish just underneath where you're walking. It's got to be one of the coolest koi ponds that I've ever seen. Can you kind of tell me what the inspiration was behind that? Did you guys build that, or was that already installed and you're just maintaining it?
Yeah, great question. So we designed that koi pond. The koi pond came with the new home construction, along with a 500-gallon cichlid aquarium that's in that home, which you may have seen as well. And I have to give the homeowner a lot of credit, because he is a very talented interior designer as a hobby, and He wanted to do something. It started with the aquarium. He wanted to do something that was very specific to the home. That home has a lot of natural materials in it, a lot of wood, a lot of stone throughout the entire house. And originally we talked about doing a big saltwater aquarium, but it just didn't feel like a perfect fit, because it would have been a little too vibrant not really complement the interior design. So I pitched them on doing an African cichlid aquarium with a natural stone background. Well, it's synthetic, but it looks very natural. And then having all of the color in the aquarium be a result of the organic life, the cichlids. So it started with that. And then there was the idea of doing a water feature in front. But again, just like I had mentioned with my other clients, the homeowner and I get into these great conversations about what inspires us. And I had mentioned to him that, there's opportunities where we can fly to Japan and handpick koi, or work with a dealer in Japan to get specific koi to his new pond. And that started this idea of doing a really high-end show koi pond. So void of any plant life, total black bottom koi, so that the feature was 100% on the fish. And the result is the pond that you're talking about, where we have hand-selected, very, very beautiful koi. We did not go to Japan to do that. However, the homeowner's brother is now building another property, and that has a 26,000 gallon koi pond. And potentially, we'll see how the world does here over the next year if things open up. We want to take a trip to Japan to handpick koi for that pond. So it's exciting.
Seeing some of those documentaries on YouTube of people going over to Japan, our friend George, who has done that, Coralfish 12G, I think it's like the Koi Project or the Koi, I'm losing it now, but the YouTube channel where they just focus on that just had me so enthralled with like Japan is the place. And they sell these things for upwards of $100,000 sometimes. Some of those show koi. It's just crazy to me, and it's so beautiful. So yeah, I can imagine that being able to be there and visit that and maintain that is probably pretty cool as well.
It's a joy. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I love it.
So tell me about this. You guys have done this several times, and I'm always intrigued by this. I have a little bit of construction background,
okay,
but I don't think I've ever had I've never had the opportunity of pretty much building a house around an aquarium. Like, you'll show up, you'll install the aquarium, and then come back in a year when the house is done. A lot of these mansions take a long time to build. Can you talk about that latest project that you guys just did surrounding the revisit and everything with that? Is it the $44 million mansion?
Yeah, it's called the Brentwood Oasis. The developer, a man named Ray Nosrati, is known around town for building just these elaborate estate luxury homes. And so we started that project. We got hired for that project, I believe, in 2018. But we had to wait till 2019 until the home was ready for the aquarium. So we always tell people, excuse me, drinking soda here. We always tell people if they're thinking about doing a large aquarium for a new home, we should be brought on day one with the architects and the designers, because if it's an afterthought, there can be a lot of change orders that become very expensive. And so, for example, on the Brentwood Oasis, we had to make sure the architect had reinforcement in the floors with steel I-beams where the aquarium was. We had an elaborate plumbing system put in for the aquarium so that we could not only drain the aquarium in the immediate area, but also remotely place a full RODI filtration system that would pump back to the aquarium so we could do water changes, just with a twist of ball valves. But and then around that aquarium is elaborate cabinetry, and it's in a little kitchen area separating it to a dining room. So we had to get the aquarium in place so that the cabinetry and all of the accoutrements of that room could be built around it. And then, of course, had to come back and plumb the entire filtration system at the right stage of construction. And if you've ever been on a job site for a new home, there is dust everywhere, and an acrylic aquarium, dust is the worst thing you can put on it because you'll get all these micro scratches. So what we had to do is put it in place and then essentially mummify it for 1.5 years until we were ready to come back and unwrap it, rewrap it to the phase that we were in, and then just do that several times until we were up for the final installation where we attached all of our equipment, filled it up, and got the tank going, well over a month in advance before it hit the market, because of course we wanted fish in there for the sale of the house. So it's all about timing, but you have to plan these things out well in advance, and they work out if you do it the right way. So
yeah, I think what blows my mind, and I was just recently watching that 500-gallon cichlid tank video, is that not only do you guys have to be super knowledgeable in the bevy of filtration and plumbing and electrical and lighting and everything that a reef tank or a freshwater tank comes with, but you also have to have quite a bit of interior design knowledge. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're absolutely right. And I share not as strong of a passion as my love for aquariums, but I absolutely love and appreciate interior design. And I think it complements the brand that we've built. We are very critical of how our aquariums are going to tie in with the rest of the room. We don't always take on jobs if they don't make sense to us. And that's what's separated us from a lot of different companies, is that we're very specific on what jobs we take on. We are so passionate about working with interior designers. I think that's a talent that is so few and far between to especially on a large scale, when you're doing a home that's 10,000 plus square feet, to be able to make everything fit perfectly is such a skill. So part of what we do is work very closely with these interior designers. And believe me, when we're working with them, I am learning every step of the way. So over the last 17 years of running this company, we've worked with countless interior designers, and I pick up something new every time. And of course, we take that into the next meeting, and it's just more information that we can provide to the client that they may not know about custom aquarium design, and it just helps us convince the client that we can do this the right way the first time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just your professional take, what would you say about the cardboard that I have blocking out the natural sunlight in my room?
I would say that's probably a very effective and inexpensive idea there, You got to do what you got to do. Listen, I don't have I wanted natural sunlight, so I just put the camera in front of this big window right here because I don't have anything else to go by. So tricks of the trade, man.
I love asking this to professionals because it's always a mixed bag. But do you have an aquarium of your own that you keep in your house?
I do not, and some people are absolutely shocked by that. But there's a very specific reason, and that is because the aquariums that we build and take care of on a daily basis are our aquariums. And at the end of the day, I do have to force myself to turn that work switch off. So, when Saturday and Sunday comes along, I gotta be honest, there's times when I just need to completely detach from aquariums. If I'm traveling and I run across the local fish store, you can believe I'm gonna go in there. But as far as taking care of my own tank at the end of the day, I'd rather just save that energy for the many tanks we take care of all around Los Angeles.
So when you do turn the work switch off, is there another hobby or another thing that you're super passionate about that you like doing?
Yeah, well, I should say that work switch rarely gets turned off. I mean, there's always something to do. But I absolutely love traveling, and it's been a very unique year for everyone. Now the world is starting to open up, so I've got some really exciting trips already under my belt this last month, but hopefully this summer will take me to some great new places. I always try to scuba dive when I'm near the water, and I love photography. I love filmmaking, and believe it or not, I wish I had more time so that we could have a YouTube channel like yours and just tell more stories about what we do. And when I do find the time to record and edit, we're able to tell some really cool stories about some of our projects. And the cameras are rolling. Even this last week, the cameras were rolling, but we have hard drives just stacked up of hours of footage, and one day I'll get around to sifting through it and breaking down some sort of storyline.
Yeah, I guess that's the one benefit to taking care of everybody else's tanks is you constantly have some sort of material, some sort of content to go to, ever changing, all the, the clientele, the tanks are always, that list is growing. So that would be super fun to see down the road for sure. You've got a really awesome project that was kind of, I believe it was put on hold because of the pandemic and because of COVID, because it's really just kind of destroyed everything for a little bit here. But I remember you talking a little bit about a project in New Orleans. Can you kind of take us through what that is like?
Yeah, it was, COVID did slow things down a bit, but really we're just, the whole project is waiting to get fully permitted and signed off on by the city of New Orleans, which it has been officially. I actually got a text from the CEO this morning. But after we did the Yes Theory project, it was so rewarding to be able to, take our message and get it out there and then have it so well received that we thought we wanted to do it again, but do it on a larger scale and with a bigger purpose. So we started looking around at children's hospitals, and we're hoping that we could build an aquarium for, kids that could really benefit from just the visibility of an aquarium, the education of an aquarium. But it didn't work out for reasons, that we had a couple of contacts, but for whatever reason it didn't work out there, just because of the concern about having aquariums in certain parts of a hospital. And I had put a post on Instagram of one of the larger tanks we were doing, and I got a comment that said, "Hey, you should do this for Son of a Saint." And I was curious what that was, so I looked at it. And Son of a Saint is an organization in New Orleans that provides mentorship and education and guidance for young boys who grew up without their father. Their fathers are either deceased or incarcerated. And I thought, this might be a great opportunity to really work with a new community. And I'd been to New Orleans before, but I'd always wanted to spend a lot more time there. And it just kind of tugged at my heartstrings. So I wrote back to the CEO and I said, we're really interested. And we just got on the phone and had a long conversation, and it turned out it was a perfect fit. So we haven't officially announced it yet, but that announcement should be coming very soon, if not next week, hopefully within the next month. And we are going to be doing a project where we build a large aquarium for their new facility down in New Orleans. And we're going to be calling on the aquarium industry, everybody, whether you're a hobbyist or a manufacturer or a local fish store owner or a business owner like us, or an aspiring to become a business owner, someone who wants to just learn more about our hobby. We're calling on those people to help us complete this project, either through donations or through their time. And we're inviting everyone to come down to New Orleans with us and really get a clinic on installations and see how we do this firsthand. And of course, this is all nonprofit for charity. We want to be able to give back with all of the knowledge we've obtained throughout the years and the passion we've developed. It's now more fulfilling for us to do this for someone else rather than for us. So that is the goal, and hopefully by 2022 we will have the first of many projects like this done. So
yeah, that's really cool, and kudos to you for doing that. It's it's obviously a huge project to undertake as far as financially, and with most of that being all donated equipment and labor and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like the upside on the impact that you can have on a child who maybe doesn't necessarily get into the installation process or would ever want to install and maintain an aquarium, but just like the wonder of what is below the water's surface. I just feel like there's so much of that unknown, like we talked about at the beginning. And when you can get a kid's mind to go crazy and get them thinking about new ways to not only have a sustainable hobby and help save the environment and stuff like that, but it also gets their minds off of whatever else is going on in their lives. And some of these kids have been through so much more than we ever have. And so it's nice that you're doing that. Is there any way or is there a website, or you said you're going to make an announcement, so where's the next step?
I'm not sure what the official domain is because it's changed a few times, but obviously we'll be promoting it heavily once the project is officially announced, and people can follow us on our Instagram page at Infinity Aquariums, or our website. We'll try to reach everybody as best we can, and we're going to do everything we can to make the rounds and on social media and make sure people hear about this project, and hopefully they want to be a part of it in some way. We've already talked to a few people, yourself included, and the reception has just been so loud that we're excited to see how many people we can get involved. And we've had a whole year with no trade shows, and I missed the last two MACNAs, and that's some of the best times of the year for me, is to see everybody in our hobby and meet. We come from all over the country, sometimes all over the world, and that's the only time I get to interact with people. So this will be another opportunity to make friends in the hobby, to meet people who you look up to on social media or want to learn from, and we're all going to be under one roof and just share our passion for aquariums.
So two things: I work for Jambalaya, so this is great news. And two, would love to stop out to LA sometime. And
you work for this the actual dish jambalaya, huh?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me make a note. We'll have a big pot of it on hand for you, man.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I've done the crawfish thing a couple times, and it's just never really. There's a lot of work for just a little amount of meat. You're doing a whole lot of stuff for just a little bit. But jambalaya has always been my jambalaya, and beignets are two of my favorite New Orleans dishes.
Man. But I really think it's going to be an amazing experience for anyone and everyone who can make it down. We're just so excited, and we welcome everybody with open arms. And even if you just want to kick back and watch us plumb, we're there to ask you to answer, or we're there to answer any of your questions and give you some PVC glue and tutorials or whatever. I mean, there's so many opportunities for people to come at every different level and learn something new. So.
Well, Nick, I appreciate your time. We have literally only scratched the surface with this talk. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and would love to visit sometime if in LA. And
anytime,
just hang out, maybe just be your shadow for a day or something. You're a down-to-earth dude. I feel like we're kind of kindred spirits in a way. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, Remy, you have an open door here in Los Angeles, and you should come out. We'll give you a tour of some big fish tanks.
I like it. All right, take care.
You too.
Nick is an awesome guy. I did not know the Michael Jordan story. I thought that was really cool. Having grown up in the middle of Illinois, having been a Bulls fan my entire life, and watching Michael Jordan go through all of those championships was really, really impactful in my life. And I can't imagine what it would be like to, be maintaining Michael Jordan's fish tanks. It just goes to show that this hobby can take you in some really crazy directions. A lot of my friends in the hobby have actually quit their day jobs and are now going to be working in the industry, in the reefing industry, from a coral standpoint and industry standpoint and equipment standpoint. So it's really cool to be able to be in a hobby where you can follow your passions and make a living from it. Nobody knows that better than my buddy Scott Crow. I don't have to tell you to go watch the amazing amount of YouTube videos that they have on their channel, but it's just it's a quick sneak peek into the life that is Scott Crow and Ocean State Aquatics and everything that they're into, whether it's the freshwater store or the saltwater retail store or the warehouse, or now going back to shows. It's so cool to see all of our good friends out at the shows this year, the convention centers. It's going to be so much fun throughout the year. So make sure to pay attention to whatever Scott Crow and OSA are doing, because it's always something. I want to thank Nick for being on today. I really appreciate it. I've got a couple other people in mind that I'd really like to talk to, so we might get into that later this year as time allows. I know that everybody's a lot more busy now, but if you'd like to know when, just go ahead and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you are notified whenever I upload new videos. I wanted to give a couple of shout outs to some YouTubers that I think are doing some really fun things right now, including my friend Lauren from Simple Aquariums. You got to go check out her channel if you haven't. We actually had a talk not too long ago, a lot like this talk I had with Nick, and get to learn a little bit more about her and what she's up to. Also, Tom Reefer. You got to go check out his channel as well. It's a small channel that's budding right now, and he's pretty consistent with his stuff. And he's got the weirdest dimension tank I've ever seen. He actually built it out of a TV stand, if I'm not mistaken. Go check that out on Tom Reefer's page. Again, I will link everything in the description below. So Marine Depot was recently acquired by Bulk Reef Supply, and they had a liquidation sale, and so I got this guy right here. This is a Waterbox 10. I think it was like $107 or something. I was like, I could do something with that, and obviously Waterbox is a great company, so flip this around. I don't know why they put Freshwater on the front. Garbage. If you have any ideas for what I should do for this tank, go ahead and leave that down below in the comments section. I'm really hoping I get to go to New Orleans and hang out with Nick and his team for a while. I love New Orleans. It's one of my favorite cities. If you live in New Orleans or you live in that area, I love your area, your areas. I'm a big fan of that, but mostly for good jambalaya and Zydeco music and beignets. Cooking burgers on the Blackstone tonight. If you got a Blackstone, you know what's up. If you don't, you probably got a Traeger, and you also know what's up. So, where my grilling daddy's at, okay. Hey, be safe, and I will see you when I get back from Seattle.